Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As a part of Open Channels, let's do an important topic today, which is the most economical section of channels. What is the meaning of most economical section? See, as the word itself it is telling, most economical means the section which is constructed with less amount. Okay, means the cost of construction is less. So when will the cost of construction of a channel will be less? When the cost of excavation or the cost of lining will be less. So when this cost of excavation will be less? When the wetted perimeter is less. Okay, so a most economical section is that whose wetted perimeter is minimum or less. So once your wetted perimeter is minimum or less, you will get a maximum discharge. How? We have a formula, right? Q is equal to AC root mi. There, what is M? Hydraulic radius, which is A by P. So just in the place of M, substitute A by P. What can you observe? Q is inversely proportional to root P, correct? Means if P is less, Q will be more. So as I've told you, for most economical sections, wetted perimeter will be minimum. So once wetted perimeter is minimum, obviously we will be getting maximum discharge. So such sort of sections are called as most economical sections, which are also known as efficient sections or best sections. Okay, and we have three geometries for which we will be doing the most economical sections. They are rectangular, trapezoidal and circular. Okay, so for undergraduate course we have these three sections of a channel where we will treat them as most economical, and we will try to derive some important conditions. So like when a rectangular channel can become a most economical one, similarly when a trapezoidal channel can become a most economical one, similarly a circular channel. So like this we will be designing for the three different sections of a channel. Okay, so let's see the first one, most economical rectangular channel. So see the diagram. I have picked a rectangular section of width B and the depth of flow is D in the rectangular section. Okay. Now I'll derive some most economical conditions for this rectangular channel. Means when this rectangular channel can become most economical is what we will be deriving right now. Okay. Right. As we know, area is B into D. Why? Because it's a rectangular cross section. So area of rectangular formula is B into D. So from here, take it as equation number 1. And from here, how can I write B as? Why? Because B and D both are unknown. So I will pick out one unknown, which is B. So from here, B can be written as, this D will go that side, B can be written as A by D. Take it as equation number 2. And wetted perimeter P. As I've told you, wetted perimeter P is B plus 2D. How this formula came? Wetted perimeter means what? Which part of the section got wet by water. So you see here, from here to here it got wet. Since inside there is water. From here to here it got wet. From here to here it got wet. This is D and this side also it is D. So total wetted perimeter. How do you calculate perimeter of generally perimeter of any geometry? You just add the sides. So which part of the perimeter got wet? That sides we will add. So from here to here, this is D already. So D plus B plus D. So it is B plus 2D. That's how the wetted perimeter came. But already from equation 2 you wrote B as A by D, right? So just substitute here. So finally what is P equal to? A by D plus 2D. Now we observe wetted perimeter came in terms of only one unknown, which is D. Take it as equation number 3. But just now I told you, right, for most economical section what should be minimum? Wetted perimeter should be minimum. Means dP by dd is equal to 0. Means you differentiate the wetted perimeter P with respect to depth of flow. Why are we differentiating it with respect to depth of flow? Because now if you observe the rectangular channel here, the width is not changing, correct? Your width B will be constant always. If it's a prismatic channel, it will be constant. Why? You are constructing with some given width, so this will not change. Only depth of water will change, right? Why? Because see, now if D value, see from here to here you have D. Say this is some 2 meters. Say if the depth is from here to here, which is 1 meter, then the wetted perimeter will vary obviously. Means this wetted perimeter is only dependent upon D, not B. That's why I have taken out B and I wrote wetted perimeter all in terms of D. Not only for rectangular channel, for any channel your wetted perimeter will be dependent on depth of flow only. Why? Because depth of flow will not be constant all out the year, right? So now you have to differentiate. Hence, I mean, since your perimeter is only dependent on depth, you have to differentiate P with respect to D and equate to 0. So this was our wetted perimeter, right? So d by dd of a by d plus 2d equal to 0. Now let's differentiate. I'm doing differentiation for the term a by d. A is constant, so a will come out. So differentiation of 1 by d is minus 1 by d square. So this became minus a by d square plus differentiation of 2d with respect to d will be 2 is equal to 0. So from here a equal to 2d square. Just send this side, a will become 2d square. But from our equation number 1, what was a equal to? B into d. Here I got a equal to 2d square. So equate both. Therefore, b into d is equal to 2d square. So 1d will get cancelled. I got b is equal to 2 into d. So this is the first condition for a rectangular channel to be most economical. B is equal to 2 into d. Your width of the channel must be twice the depth. Remember, this is the first condition. That's why I represented it with Roman number 1. Next, hydraulic radius. We require hydraulic radius also. Why? Because we calculate discharge, right? What did I tell you? When wetted perimeter is minimum, discharge should be maximum. Formula for discharge is AC root mi. So already related to A, we came to this conclusion. We have to calculate M also, right? So hydraulic radius M is given by the formula area by wetted perimeter, A by P. What is area formula? B into D. Wetted perimeter, B plus 2D. But just now I got B is equal to 2D, right? So I will substitute 2D in the place of B. So this is 2D into D by 2D plus 2D. So just simplify, you will be left with M is equal to D by 2. This is the second condition for a rectangular channel to be most economical. Okay. The first condition is width of the channel must be twice the depth of flow. And the second condition is hydraulic radius should be equal to half of the depth of flow. Okay. These two conditions must be satisfied for a rectangular channel to be most economical. Alright, now let's go for the second one, which is most economical trapezoidal section, which is most important out of the three. Okay, and the derivation will be little bit tricky, so please concentrate. So I have a trapezoidal section whose bottom width is B. Okay, AB is the bottom width of the trapezoidal section. It is denoted by small b. There is water inside the trapezoidal section with a depth of D. Okay, CD is the top width of the rectangular section. Now remember, when you are doing for trapezoidal channels or trapezoidal section, you will get another important slope called side slope. Okay, we have when you are doing for rectangular channel or circular channel, you will be having only bed slope of the channel. Means with how much, say if this is your channel, with how much slope your channel is laid for the water to flow. Okay. Now if like this, if it is horizontal, water will not flow under gravity. You have to provide a slope like this so that water will flow along the slope. So whatever you are writing I, correct, that is your bed slope of the channel, means with how much slope the channel is laid. But when you come to trapezoidal channel, you have side slope, means this side is there, right, BC, with how much slope this BC is kept. So that is the side slope. So both are completely different. Bed slope is different, side slope is different. So when we are doing trapezoidal sections, we will be given with side slope. Okay, means with how much slope this side is cut. That is what is important. Now I have a trapezoidal section with the width B, bottom width B, depth of flow D, and my side slope BC is laid with n horizontal is to 1 vertical. Means the slope will be given like this. Generally side slopes will be given in the form of h is to v, horizontal is to vertical, or h by v or h to v, like that they will tell. Generally they will say like 1 is to 1 or 1 is to 2 or 1 to 2 or 1 into, all means the same. If it is given like 1 in 2 or 1 to 2, means there 1 stands for horizontal and 2 stands for vertical. The first, in this ratio, the first value whatever will be given, that represents horizontal value, and the second value will represent vertical value. That you will understand when we are doing problems. Okay, I'll explain you there once again. So this side slope is n horizontal is to 1 vertical, means for every n horizontal length I will provide 1 vertical height. So I will join both, then this will be the side slope. Okay, now as we have, what is our first thing we will calculate? If you remember our rectangular channel, what did I do first? I calculated area, B into D I have put, correct? So first I require area, then I calculated vector perimeter. Similarly, now we have to calculate area of this trapezoidal section. To calculate area of this trapezoidal section, I require the value of CD. Why? Because area of trapezoid formula is AB plus CD by 2 into D. Okay, it's the average of two opposite sides into depth, correct? So I have to, since to calculate area I require the value of CD, compulsory I require the value of CD first. So what you have to do is, initially this part was not there, okay, like this our trapezoidal channel was there, okay. Now what we have to do is, to calculate the value of CD I require this distance, okay, from why? Because total top width and bottom width, if you observe, there's some gaps on either sides. So first I have to know that distance, then only I can get the value of CD. So what I'll do is, from C I will drop a perpendicular. You know what's a perpendicular, right? So just I'll drop a vertical line downwards, and from B I will draw a horizontal line. From C I am dropping a perpendicular, from B I will draw a horizontal line. Now obviously both will meet at some point, right? Let that point be E, and this distance BE is given by the formula n into D. I mean the given side slope into depth of flow. That's the standard formula. So this BE will be equal to n into D. Now we have drawn this perpendicular and this BE on right side. Similarly this part same will be on the left side also, no? So what will be your CD now? It will be AB plus 2 times ND. Why? Because this ND will be on this side also. Same again, you can drop a perpendicular like this, you can join here, you will get a 90 degrees here. Again this also will be n into D. So ND plus B plus ND will be your CD. So the first unknown you have to calculate is top width. Top width CD is equal to AB bottom width plus 2 times BE. Why? Because why I put 2 times? This BE part will be same on this side also. So it is B plus 2 into ND. So finally my top width CD is equal to B plus 2 ND. Remember this value. Next, once I got the top width, I am ready to calculate area, right? So what is area formula? I told you AB plus CD by 2 into D. So just substitute. AB value is small b plus CD is B plus 2 ND by 2 into D. Just keep on simplifying, you will get area as B plus ND into D. Okay, remember this, take it as equation number 1. And you remember in the last derivation also I did A is equal to B into D, means from there I took B as A by D, like that only. So from here, but remember this formula, A equal to B plus ND into D is area of trapezoid with slope n. Now from here send this D that side, so it will be A by D. A by D is equal to B plus ND. So from here let me write B equal to, as I have did in the earlier derivation. So B, what will be B equal to? A by D minus ND. Take it as equation number 2. Now what is my next step? I should start doing the wetted perimeter. For calculating what is wetted perimeter? Just now I told you which part of the section got wet, just keep adding the sides. So now in this trapezoidal section, which part of my section got wet? A to D, A to B and B to C. Don't confuse with this part. This is what we have dropped for our convenience. This is not there. The water is still here only. So BC is wet now, AB is wet and AD is wet. So what will be my wetted perimeter? AD or DA. Okay, DA plus AB plus BC. I don't have the values of DA and BC, right? So first I need to calculate those values. If I know one value BC, obviously AD also will be the same value due to symmetry. So what I'll do is, first I need to calculate the distance BC. See, BC with how much slope it is laid, it is given side slope, but its distance is not given. We have to calculate the distance. There is a difference between distance and slope. Means with how much inclination the side BC is existing with respect to horizontal is given to us, but the length of BC is not given to us. So let's calculate the distance BC. How? Now observe, BEC is a right angle triangle. So you can apply Pythagoras theorem. You know Pythagoras theorem, right? Hypotenuse square is equal to side square plus side square. So BC square is equal to BE square plus EC square. B already we calculated n into D. EC is nothing but the depth of flow D only. So BC square will be equal to BE square plus CE square, which is ND whole square plus D square. That's what I have done here. See here. So finally this becomes n square d square plus d square. In this both terms I can take d square common, take out d square, it will be n square into 1. So finally what will be BC equal to? It will be under root of d square into n square plus 1. Finally I got my BC as d root n square plus 1. Why? Because under root of d square will become d, under root of n square plus 1 will be under root of n square plus 1. So finally I got BC as d under root n square plus 1. As I've told you, if BC is d under root n square plus 1, obviously AD also will be d under root n square plus 1. So I have written therefore AD is also equal to d under root of n square plus 1. So I got all the values now. I can start doing the weighted perimeter. How to calculate the weighted perimeter? I told just add the sides which got wet, which is AD plus AB plus BC. So it is d root n square plus 1 plus B plus d root n square plus 1. So finally weighted perimeter is equal to B plus, this is 2 times, no? 2d root n square plus 1. That's our equation number 3. I am having area, I am having weighted perimeter. But before calculation of hydraulic radius, let's make it most economical. Let's apply the first condition. Okay. What I told you for most economical section, weighted perimeter must be minimum. Means you have to differentiate weighted perimeter with respect to d and equate it to 0. Already I have p value ready, right? Here. P is b plus 2d root n square plus 1. But b we have written in terms of a and d. Get this here. This a by d by minus nd, keep it here. So p will be a by d minus nd plus 2d root n square plus 1. Clear? Just I have brought this b here to here. Now you can differentiate this and make to equal to 0. So d by d of a by d minus nd plus 2d root n square plus 1 equal to 0. So after differentiation, see here, the differentiation of a by d is minus a by d square. So here I have written next differentiation of minus nd d by d of minus nd will be minus n plus differentiation of 2d root n square plus 1 with respect to d will be plus 2 root n square plus 1. So equal to 0. So from here I have just put a by d square plus 1 here and 2 root n square plus 1 this side. Then substituting the value of a from equation 1. You remember our equation 1, which was, I told, remember this formula. A equal to b plus nd into d. Now take this, put it here. So in the place of a, substitute b plus nd into d by d square plus n is equal to 2 root n square plus 1. It's a simple mathematics. Just open the brackets and start simplifying. You'll come to this conclusion. Okay, you'll be left like this. B plus 2nd by d is equal to 2 root n square plus 1. Get this 2 here, send this d there. So it will become b plus 2nd by 2 is equal to d root n square plus 1. You remember what was b plus 2nd? Top width was b plus 2nd, right? CD. b plus 2nd by 2 means half of top width is equal to what was d root n square plus 1? BC, right? What was BC? Side slope, sloping side. Distance of the side BC, correct? So the first condition for trapezoidal section will be half of the top width should be equal to one of the sloping side. This is the first conclusion. See, I have written b plus 2nd by 2 is half of top width, d root n square plus 1 is one of the sloping side. So first condition for a trapezoidal section to be most economical is b plus 2nd by 2 means half of top width should be equal to one of the sloping side. So that's equation number 1. Now let's go for hydraulic radius calculation as usual. So m is equals to a by p. A formula I am ready, b plus nd into d by weighted perimeter. You remember we had a formula which was our equation number 3. B plus 2d root n square plus 1. Just keep it there. Now in the place of, see, I have 2d root n square plus 1, right? So if this 2 will go here, right hand side will become 2d root n square plus 1. That will be equal to what? P plus 2nd. So I have just substituted and I have simplified. So after simplification, I will be left with m is equal to d by 2. Same as we did in rectangle. In rectangle, we got first b is equal to 2d, correct? Then in m is equal to a by p, we substituted wherever there is b, we substituted 2d, right? Similar fashion. Just substitute and simplify. We will get m is equal to d by 2. That's the second case. Second condition required for your section, trapezoidal section, rather to be most economical. Half of top width must be equal to one of the sloping side and hydraulic radius must be equal to d by 2. If you observe, this m is equal to d by 2 condition is common for your rectangular channel as well as trapezoidal channel. All right, now let's go for the third section, which is our circular section. But friends, what happens in circular section is, if you observe in rectangle or in trapezoid, our bottom, I mean the base of the channel was horizontal, right? So you marked D very easily. So we can keep the D value constant, correct? But when you observe a circular channel, the depth of flow cannot be maintained constant. Why? Due to the geometry. Your circular channel will be like this, something like this, right? So due to this circular geometry, the water will be tilting. The depth of flow means the D will not be constant, correct? For rectangular channel, it was like this, I mean it was horizontal here. So you could measure the value of D and you kept it constant all the time. But due to the geometry of circular channels, we cannot calculate or derive the conditions for most economical section directly due to the geometry. So what we will do is, we will derive two conditions separately for most economical circular channels. One condition will be condition for maximum discharge and one condition will be condition for maximum velocity. So for coming to circular channels, we have to do two cases separately. One is maximum velocity condition and one is discharge condition. So before going to maximum velocity and maximum discharge conditions, first I will tell you how to solve for area, wetted perimeter and M. Then we can further continue. Okay, now observe here. That's why I have given the heading flow through circular channel only. When is our circular channel becoming open channel? I already told in my earlier videos also. When does the circular channel become most economical? When the level of water is below the top surface. Now see here, the top surface of your circular channel is here, where my pointer is there. Level of water is here, so there is air here, right? So it can be considered as open channel, right? So to calculate a discharge flowing through a circular channel, first we will consider the depth of flow D along with the angle subtended by the surface of the liquid at the center. Now see here, observe this diagram carefully. You have a circular channel, you have depth of water D, okay? This is your water surface, AB is your water surface. This AB will be making some angle at the center. I mean, if you put a center point here, you have AB water surface, right, which is like this. So from here to here you join and from here to here you join. So it means that this AB is making an angle at the center. That angle will be equal to 2 theta, means total angle subtended at the center by this water surface will be 2 theta. I'll drop a perpendicular from O such that it meets at C on AB. So now this is 90 degrees, right? So total angle is 2 theta, means this angle will be theta, okay? Remember, 2 theta is the total angle subtended by the water surface at the center. 2 theta. This is theta, this is theta. So both you add. See, this is also theta, right? Now you see what is the total angle now? 2 theta, like that, okay? Right. Now, as I've told you, D is depth of water. 2 theta is the angle subtended at the center by the water surface in radians. Capital R is the radius of the channel. So this is your radius. If from O to, or else from here to here, the total value will be diameter D. I mean this total value, it will be capital D, which is diameter of the channel. So from center to any part will be radius, obviously. So this is R and this is R, radius of the channel. So wetted perimeter P. First let's calculate wetted perimeter. What is wetted perimeter? I told you which part of the section got wet. Now see which part of the section got wet here. A, D and B. That's all, right? This is all open to air. Only this A, D, B section got arc rather. Only this part got wet, correct? So how do you calculate this length? Simple, use length of the arc formula. We have a formula in geometry. If theta is the angle subtended at the center of the section, if R is the radius, then length of the arc is given by the formula L is equal to R into theta. If you can just Google out and search, this is the formula for length of the arc. L is equal to R theta. Here our L means our wetted perimeter. What is R? Capital R. What is theta at the center? 2 theta. So L is equal to r theta formula, right? So P is equal to capital R into 2 theta. It became 2r theta. I have written here also length of the arc formula. Next, let's calculate area. I am done with weighted perimeter. Now I require area. How do you calculate the area? What is area here? Area of the flow means I require the value of A, D, B and A. I mean this semicircular, this is not actually a semicircle also, but it is looking like that, right? Like a half moon, right? Only this part area I require. So how to calculate this part area now? I don't have directly formula. If it is semicircle means I used to do directly area by half. Quarter circle means total area by 4. But we don't know at how much it is at some depth d. We don't know. So we should calculate this area. So to calculate this area, what you have to do is, how to get this area means, first I will take the sector OADB. Okay, total sector I will take. Then I will take the area of triangle OAB. Correct? First I will take the total sector. Then I will take the total area, this small part. Then what I will do? What do I require? This half moon shape area. So what I'll do? Remove this triangular portion from the sector. Finish. You will get the area of the flow. So area of flow will be given by area of the sector OADB minus area of the triangle OAB. Remember this. First let me calculate the area of the sector formula. Again, just Google out area of sector formula is given by half r square into theta. So here half into what is r of our r, capital R, into what is theta at the center, 2 theta. Remember one thing, when you are using in geometrical formulas, there theta means angle subtended at the center. If when you Google, you will get the formula like half r square theta or 2r theta. Means for him there theta is angle at the center. For us angle at the center is 2 theta. Don't forget that. So area of sector formula half into r square into theta, half into capital R square into, in the place of theta put 2 theta, angle at the center. See, I have written for you area of sector formula. I am ready with area of sector formula. Next let me calculate area of the triangle OAB. So directly I can't calculate. So what I'll do, you can calculate how. You apply area of triangle formula, which is half into base into height. Half into base is AB into height of the triangle is OC. But now AB is unknown, OC is unknown. So how to get the values of AB and OC? We will apply some trigonometrical relations. I am telling very carefully, please listen. Observe this right angle triangle OCB. Okay, this right angle triangle OC and B. Okay, OCB. Now I have theta here, I have 90 degrees here. I'll apply first sine theta. What will be sine theta? Opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite is BC, hypotenuse is R. So from the right angle triangle OCB, sine theta will be opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite is BC, hypotenuse is R. So from here what can I write BC as? R into sine theta. Correct? So I got one unknown, which is BC part. If see, we dropped a perpendicular from O, right? Means this C is exactly at the center of AB. Once I got BC as R sin theta, what will be AC now? It will also be R sin theta. You can observe again the same triangle which is on this side. Again apply sin theta opposite by hypotenuse. Again AC by R. Again AC will be R sin theta only. So I can write AB as directly 2 into BC. Okay. So in the place of AB I wrote half into 2 into BC into, still I am missing with CO. Again consider the same right angle triangle OCB. Now apply cos. Cos theta will be adjacent side by hypotenuse. Adjacent side is OC by R. So from here what will be OC equal to R cos theta. So I have substituted here R cos theta. For your purpose I have written the side also. Just check once again. So finally I will get area of triangle part as R square sin theta cos theta. Now how do I get the area of the half moon? Area of sector minus area of triangle. So therefore area of flow capital A is equal to area of sector formula is this minus area of triangle is this. Just subtract them and simplify. Take R square common and just simplify. Yeah. Here you will be getting R square theta minus R square sin theta cos theta. For this term I will divide and multiply with 2. So R square theta minus 2R square sin theta cos theta by 2. 2 sin theta cos theta is sin 2 theta by 2. So out of these two terms, take out r square common. Your a will be equal to theta minus sine 2 theta by 2. Remember this. So whatever put a box in blue color, these formulas we will use for most economical circular channel. We did not start yet, but directly we derived the formulas first earlier so that we can substitute there. Okay. Yes, so as I've told you, for most economical circular section, we will be deriving two separate conditions, that is condition for maximum velocity and condition for maximum discharge. I'll start off with condition of maximum velocity first. See, again I have drawn the same diagram. Remember people, this diagram will be common for condition for maximum velocity and condition for maximum discharge. Okay, so this is depth of flow d, this is angle theta. Okay, same. Total angle at center will be 2 theta. So now consider this diagram. Again, d is depth of flow, 2 theta is total angle at the center, r is radius and I is the bed slope of the channel. Now since I am deriving for maximum velocity condition, I will take the formula of velocity. So velocity v is equal to c root mi. We know this formula, right? Chassis formula. So from here v is equal to c into what is m? Hydraulic radius. So substitute a by p. So v equal to c under root of a by p into I. Now see here, c is constant, this is constant, I is also constant, right? I mean you will fix the bed slope when before you are putting up the channel, you are laying the channel rather. So your velocity is now dependent on whom? A by p. Since c and I are constant, your velocity is dependent on a by p. So for your velocity to be maximum, what should be maximum? A by p should be maximum. So that's what I have written. The velocity of flow should be maximum when a by p is maximum. So now your velocity is indirectly dependent on whom now? Theta. Why? Just now we derived the values of a and p, right? They were in terms of theta and r. R is however constant. Why? You will decide the diameter of the channel. When you are deciding the diameter of the channel, it means radius is also fixed. You are not changing. Who is changing? Theta. Why theta will change? If depth of water will dance like this, obviously theta will change. So your velocity is dependent on theta only. So therefore, weighted perimeter condition, d of a by p by d theta equal to 0. Why? Velocity is changing with respect to a by p. So this a by p is dependent on theta. So d of a by p by d theta equal to 0. This is our condition. We know the values of a and p. Just now we derived. You remember? Yeah. But if I substitute the values directly and if I differentiate, it all becomes clumsy. So first what we will do is, we will apply u by v rule. I think you know differentiation of u by v. The formula is v u dash minus u v dash by v square. I am repeating, u d by dx of u by v or d by dy of u by v. The u by v rule will be v u dash by v square. So for me now, u is a, v is p. So what is v? I told you p. U is a. d u dash means p is v. p into dA by d theta. U dash means dA by d theta minus u v dash. U is a. A into v dash means dp by d theta by v square means p square equal to 0. Send this p square that side. So you will be left with p into dA by d theta minus a into dp by d theta equal to 0. That's equation number 1. Now let's calculate dA by d theta. Differentiate a with respect to theta. A formula I told you just now, r square into theta minus sine 2 theta by 2. Differentiate it with respect to theta. So r square is constant, take it out. D by d theta into theta minus sine 2 theta by 2. So this is equal to r square into 1 minus sine 2 theta differentiation is cos 2 theta by 2 into 2 theta differentiation is into 2. So simplify, you will be getting dA by d theta as r square into 1 minus cos 2 theta. Similarly, calculate dp by d theta. Means d by d theta of p, which is 2r theta, it is simply 2r. That's dp by d theta. Now I think you can substitute the values of a, p, dA by d theta and dp by d theta in equation number 1. Substitute the values and you start simplifying. It's a simple mathematics. Just open the brackets and keep simplifying. You will end up like this. Okay. I think till here you can solve. Get all theta terms on one side and sine and cos terms on one side. You will be getting sine theta is equal to 2 theta cos 2 theta. So get sine and cos on one side. So sine 2 theta by cos 2 theta is equal to 2 theta. Right here. Okay. So Sine by cos is tan. So tan 2 theta is equal to 2 theta. Now we can just give a trial and error substitution. You know, hit and trial method, right? Like that. So you'll be coming to a conclusion like 2 theta is equal to 257 degrees 30 minutes. This is by the solution by trial and error method. Finally 2 theta is 257 degrees 30 minutes. When 2 theta is this much, theta will be this value by 2, which is 128 degrees 45 minutes. These values of theta and 2 theta you have to remember. Okay, it will not be given in the problem. When you're solving for numericals, they will not give you the value of theta. They will tell condition for maximum discharge or condition for maximum velocity, means you have to remember the angles. So 2 theta is 257 degrees 30 minutes, means theta is 120 degrees 45 minutes. Now I got the value of theta, right? So now I'll calculate the depth of flow. See here, this is your depth of flow, right? How can you calculate the value of depth of flow? It will be total distance OD minus OC. Okay, D value, total O to D, OD minus OC. So D is OD minus OC. So OD is what? Radius, which is R, minus OC is R cos theta. So from here take R common, it will be D equal to R into 1 minus cos theta. Theta we got just now. Theta is 257, 2 theta is 257 degrees 30 minutes, means theta is only 120 degrees 45 minutes. Just substitute that value here. Cos of 120 degrees 45 minutes. So D is equal to R into 1.1 plus 0.62. Finally D is 1.62 R. But I don't want in terms of radius, I want in terms of diameter. But what is R? D by 2, diameter by 2. Just substitute. So small d, depth of flow will be 1.62 into d by 2, which is 0.81 times t. This is the main important condition for maximum velocity. Maximum velocity, first condition. Depth of flow is 0.8 times the diameter. Next, coming to hydraulic radius, we have the formula m is equal to a by p. M is a formula divided by p formula. Just here you see 1 r will get cancelled. You will be left with r by 2 theta into theta minus sine 2 theta by 2. Now remember one thing, people, most of the students make a mistake here. When you have theta followed by a trigonometric function, sine or cos or tan, then only you can apply theta as 128 degrees 45 minutes. But here you see you have r by 2 theta only. Here theta is alone without any trigonometric function. Then you can't substitute 128 degrees 45 minutes. You should substitute theta in radians. When theta is alone, when it is not in combination with any trigonometric function, please put it in radians. Only when theta is in combination with trigonometric function, then only put it in degrees. So I am converting 120 degrees 45 minutes into radians. I think you are very clear. Otherwise I am explaining once again. So given angle into pi by 180 will convert into radians. So 128 degrees 45 minutes means 128 degrees 128.75 degrees. That into pi by 180, it came out to be 2.247 radians. Now I'll just substitute here. M is equal to r by 2 into 2.247 into 2.247 minus sine of 2 theta is directly given to me. 257 degrees 30 minutes by 2. Simplify, you'll get m as 0.611 r. But again you have to substitute in terms of d. So r is d by 2. Substitute. M will be 0.611 into d by 2, which is 0.3 times d. This is the second most important condition for a circular channel, that also in maximum velocity condition. Hydraulic radius m should be equal to 0.3 times diameter. What was our first condition? Depth of flow small d equal to 0.81 capital D. Second condition is m is equal to 0.3 capital D. Alright, the second condition is condition for maximum discharge for circular channel. As I've told you, we'll follow the same diagram. Since last case I did for maximum velocity, I took velocity formula v equal to c root mi. Now I am doing for discharge, so I will take discharge formula. Q is equal to a c root mi. Send this a inside. If a will go inside, it will become a square. M formula is a by p, so a square into a will be a cube. So q will be c into under root of a cube by p into I. Again c and I are constant, so your discharge is dependent upon a cube by p. For discharge to be maximum, a cube by p must be maximum. Again a and p are dependent on whom? Theta. So now what you have to do? Differentiate a cube by p with respect to theta equal to 0. Similar to the previous case. In the previous case we did d by d theta of a by p. Now we are doing a cube by p. Again u by v formula, b u dash p into 3a square into dA by d theta minus u v dash a cube into dp by d theta by v square equal to 0. send this p square outside, it will become 0. So finally you will be left with this equation. I think a square is common here, no? So cancel out. You will be left with 3p dA by d theta minus a into dp by dt equal to 0. This is equation number 1. You have the values of p, you have the, means you can calculate dp by d theta, which is 2r. I think these values we derived in the earlier case also. A dA by d theta is this. You have a value, p value, dp by d theta value, dA by d theta value. Substitute all the 4 in equation number 1 and start simplifying with the simple mathematics. You will be like this, your derivation will go like this. Just have a look. I'm just open the brackets and I'm start simplifying. After this, you'll come back here. So you will be ending up with the equation 4 theta minus 6 theta cos 2 theta plus sin 2 theta equal to 0. You can no more simplify it from here. So what we will do directly, we will give hit and trial method. So by hit and trial method, 2 theta came out to be 308 degrees, which means theta is 154 degrees. Okay, you have to remember these values. Therefore depth of flow, same formula, OD minus OC, which is r into 1 minus cos theta, r into 1 minus cos 154. So small d is 1.898 times r, but we want in terms of dia, so put r equal to d by 2, capital D by 2. So you will get small d as 0.95 times diameter of the channel. This is how you need to solve. So your depth of flow will come to be 0.95 times the diameter. You can continue with the hydraulic radius. So hydraulic radius is again given by the formula A by P. After all calculations, I mean what do you say, substitution of A and P, after just cancelling out, you will be left with m equal to r by 2 theta into theta minus sin 2 theta by 2. I have told you when you are substituting theta alone, you have to convert into radians. So 154 into pi by 180 came to be 2.68 radians. So m equal to r by 2 into 2.68 into 2.68 minus sin 2 theta means 308 by 2. So just simplify, you will be getting m as 0.572 r, but r is d by 2. So finally m will be 0.572 into d by 2, 0.286 times d, which is almost 0.3, similar like your velocity condition only. So hydraulic radius will be 0.286 times d. So when you are doing for circular channel, what I want to tell you is, most importantly, we are having two conditions, condition for maximum velocity and condition for maximum discharge. So they, if you are doing numericals, they will give you very clearly whether it is discharge condition or velocity condition. If it is velocity condition given, means you have to remember three things in mind. One is theta value, next is what is small d equal to, means how many times capital D, third one is what is m equal to. Okay, this you have to remember. And that's all about most economical sections. Hope you understood the video, and thank you.